News Radio 78, WBBM, Chicago.
WBBM News Time, 10:30.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Add a grain of salt, said a learned Roman gentleman named Pliny the Elder some 2,000 years ago. And the value of that advice has only increased with the passage of time. Take everything you see and hear with a grain of salt, and you'll be surprised at how much savor you will add to your life.
I am going to find the old man of the rock.
There's no such person. It's an old wives' tale. You keep away from him.
If there's no such person, why are you so scared?
Because he kills everyone who approaches. Why do you want to find him?
Because he knows where all the money in the world can be found.
Our mystery drama, A Grain of Salt, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Terry Keane and Fred Gwynn.
It is sponsored in part by True Value Hardware Stores and Buick Motor Division. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Goblins and ghosts, pixies and elves, kelpies and banshees, spirits and sprites, the good folk, the bad folk. Oh, I could go on and on. But you get the idea. At one time, these, what shall we call them, supernatural beings were as real as the sounds you hear in a deserted house, in a desolate countryside on a dark and moonless night. And nowhere were they more real than on a certain enchanted island that was gracious and green and filled with soft, lilting music and covered with a magical mist. But we run ahead of ourselves. We're not there yet. We're still on this side of the Atlantic, in a large city on the eastern coast, perhaps 70, 80, or even 90 years ago.
Are you the sergeant?
Well, I'm a sergeant. Sergeant Smith.
Are you the sergeant they told me to see?
Are you the sergeant they told me to see? Why, it sings. Your mother comes from County Donegal.
She does not.
Then Monaghan or Cowan.
Sir, I have not come to discourse on genealogical or geographical situations.
Ah, but it is the place of my own origin.
With the name of Smith.
Of my dearest mother's. Me father comes from England.
That, sir, must be your own private sorrow. And bear it bravely and in silence like a man.
Well then, Miss or Madam?
Miss, if you please. Miss Katie O'Neill.
Miss Katie O'Neill. Oh, it sings like a ballad.
Are you a maker of music or an officer of the police?
The two need not be mutually exclusive.
Well, then I might have done better to consult Mr. John Philip Sousa.
He conducts his orchestra in the park this evening. Would you do me the honor, Miss O'Neill?
Is this how you spend the taxpayers' hard-earned dollars, Sergeant Smith, attempting to romance every young maiden lady that requires the assistance of the police?
Not every young maiden lady, Miss O'Neill.
Then shall we come at last to the facts in the case?
Ah, then. We have a case, have we? Well, proceed.
Which is exactly what I was doing. This noon, not half hour past, I was standing at the corner of 5th and Main, and... Why are you not writing this down?
I'm gazing into your eyes, Miss Katie O'Neill.
Aren't you ashamed, Sergeant Smith?
Of what?
Attend to the facts. There's work to be done.
You were standing on the corner of 5th and Main.
I was.
And stopping the traffic for miles around.
I was waiting for a streetcar.
A most innocent occupation.
I was in the midst of a crowd that was waiting. Suddenly...
Yes?
Suddenly, there was this tug on my arm.
Tug?
It was more of a pull.
Oh, a pull?
But a gentle pull.
Ah, a gentle pull?
Yes, so gentle, so soft, so light, as a thistle or a hummingbird's wing. Are you writing that down?
Was that as light as a thistle or as light as a hummingbird's wing, Miss O'Neill? Oh, we must be accurate in these matters.
Make it as light as either or both.
Well, would you happen to know specifically the weight of a hummingbird's wing, or a thistle for that matter? As you know, police work is an exact science.
And then...
Yes. And then?
And then I looked down at my arm, and...
And?
And my pocketbook was gone.
Your pocketbook was gone?
It had been taken from me.
What did you say? Who did it?
See him? No, as I said, I was standing in the midst of a crowd. One moment the pocketbook was on my arm, and then the next, it was gone.
And you saw no one who could have taken it?
No, I saw no one. I said to the people who were standing round, I said, has anyone seen a pocketbook? Mine is gone. I believe it was taken. And everyone looked all around, and someone said, are you sure you didn't drop it on the ground? And someone else said, are you positive you had it with you? And I said, it's been taken by a thief. Has anyone seen the thief? And a man standing next to me said, what did he look like? And I answered, if I knew what he looked like, I'd know who he was.
And no one had seen him?
No one had seen him. I was in the midst of a crowd that was waiting for a streetcar on the corner of 5th and Main at high noon, and a man removed my pocketbook from my arm, unseen and unbeknownst.
And those are the facts?
Those are the known facts.
You discovered the loss of the pocketbook. You saw no one take it.
Nor could I find a witness to the taking.
And then what did you do?
What did I do? I came to the nearest police station, this one. I was referred to a sergeant. You. Now, when may I expect to get my pocketbook?
When we find the thief.
That does not answer the question.
Well, the police department is not yet in position to make a definite statement.
Oh, it is not.
It requires more facts. Now, how much money was there in the pocketbook?
How much money? Why, none.
None.
No, I never carry money in a pocketbook.
You don't? And why not?
Why not? Should it not be obvious? Why not even to the sergeant of the police? You know what happened less than an hour gone by. Suppose I'd had money in the pocketbook. What then?
Or so. We established that there was no money in the pocketbook. Well, was the pocketbook itself new?
No. It was old.
And what was the color of the pocketbook?
Its color? Oh, I'm not sure that question can be answered.
And why not?
Because the original color had faded and gone, given way to a whole spectrum, you might say, of hues and shades of varying degrees.
Well, is the pocketbook still worth anything?
The poor old thing, ripped it was and torn and in general fallen apart.
Well then, stolen from you is a worthless pocketbook with nothing of value inside. Why are you bothering to report it to the police?
But there was something of value inside.
Oh, but you said there was no money.
Something of great value.
And what is that, Miss Katie O'Neill?
A salt shaker.
A salt shaker.
The English side of your family would no doubt refer to it as a salt cellar.
Well, what sort of a salt shaker?
Just a salt shaker.
And you said it was valuable?
Oh, yes, it is, indeed.
Why would a salt shaker be valuable?
Because it's the only one of its kind in the whole wide world.
Oh, is it made of gold?
Oh, no.
Silver?
Not a bit of it.
Well, then, what is it made of?
Pewter.
Pewter?
Or perhaps not pewter. It could be something even cheaper.
But you just said it was valuable. That it was the only one of its kind in the world.
I said that and I stand by it.
Then is it encrusted, perhaps, with pearls or diamonds, rubies or precious stones?
Oh, no.
Well, then, was it crafted by one of those great fellas like a Cellini?
Who?
Cellini, Benvenuto Cellini.
No.
Then how can it be valuable?
Because it's a magical salt shaker.
Oh, yes, I see.
And that is why I must have it back.
In what way is the salt shaker magical?
In what way can a salt shaker be magical?
Well,
The question only has one answer.
Well, suppose you tell it to me.
And you are a sergeant of detectives?
Well, now, Miss Katie O'Neill, what is your game? You come in here with this blather about a magical salt shaker.
But it's true.
Why would you be carrying a salt shaker in your pocketbook?
Why? Because I never know when it might be useful.
Well, it would seem to me that the only time you'd require a salt shake would be at meals. Is that so?
It's most probably so.
And would you take your meals at a table? In someone's home or in a restaurant? Is that not so?
I agree.
Well, wouldn't there already be at least one salt shaker on that table?
Yes, but mine is a magical salt shaker.
Oh, very well.
You don't believe it.
Well, why? Is it a magical salt shaker?
Ah, and if I told you, would you promise faithfully and truly to find it for me?
But it's my duty to find it for you.
All right. When I was a little girl in County Cavan, I lived on a farm with my father and mother. And my father... there was a man for you, filled with great and bold schemes, all of which I'm sorry to report came to naught. And I was a tiny child, but I still remember the talk around the table.
Well, Terence O'Neill.
Good morning, Bridget, my darling.
A good morning, is it, Terence O'Neill? You can't see the sun for the clouds, the wind's howling, and it's cold enough to crack the stones.
Ah, but it's the only morning the good Lord, in his infinite wisdom, has seen fit to send us, and we accept it gladly. For it is written, you shall take the bad with the good.
Oh, and where is that written?
Well, if it isn't written, it should be.
Well, now, not that I wish to raise a subject so painful, but have you given much thought to seeking employment this day, Terence O'Neill?
Oh, yes. I shall be employed expanding the horizon of my knowledge.
I was thinking of gainful employment.
It's gainful. I am embarked on a course of study that shall make us both rich.
Rich?
You don't believe it?
Oh, no man ever got rich by looking through books.
Ah, that's because you have to find the right books.
That's how it would go. My father would spend the days reading his books and walking through the fields and the forests, nodding his head, thinking, studying, considering. And then finally, one day my father came home and he had a very old book in his hand and he was very excited.
Bridget!
Oh, yes, it's Bridget. And did you expect me not to be home?
Bridget, listen to me.
Oh, I listened to you once, and that was the undoing of me. Oh, marry me, Bridget, darling, and you shall wear silks and furs, spangled with cloth of gold, and sparkling with diamonds and pearls.
And so you shall.
Oh, of course.
No, Bridget, I'm serious.
Oh, about what?
About the promise I made you, about the wearing of the silks and the furs and the diamonds and the pearls.
Oh, we'll bring them in and I'll put them on.
I will.
When?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh, my poor Terence, it's gone to your head as I knew it would.
Bridget, I am not crazy. It's here in the book, right here. It tells how to find him.
Find who?
The old man of the rock.
Oh, have you taken leave of your senses?
Bridget, it's here. It's in the book.
The old man of the rock. He's nothing but an old wives' tale. He don't exist.
This book tells you exactly where to find him.
Well, then don't dare go near him.
It reveals his hiding place.
Now, you listen to me. The old man of the rock, he'll make you his slave.
No. Not if you know the magical words.
What magical words?
The magical words that make him your slave.
I don't want another word said about that in this house.
You can make him your slave, and he'll grant you your wish. Whatever you want, he'll make it come true. The old man of the rock. Tomorrow, I'll go to him.
No, Terence. I don't want to be rich.
You do.
Oh, please, Terence, promise me. Please.
But, Bridget, I believe I've never seen you so frightened before.
Well, it's because I've never been so frightened before.
What are you afraid of?
The old man of the rock.
But you should be afraid. Didn't you say he was nothing but an old wives' tale?
Well, now, as you know, we're going to find out about the powers, if any, of some supernatural being, assuming, of course, such a one exists. It all began with a stolen pocketbook in America, somewhere. And suddenly we find ourselves in Ireland, somewhere. But it's a good place to be for our purposes. And the tour shall resume as soon as I return shortly with Act Two. As we concluded Act One, we heard someone refer to something hard to believe as an old wives' tale. Well, don't be too cavalier in dismissing old wives' tales. There used to be an old wives' tale to the effect that moldy cheese was good for wounds, and then science discovered penicillin. Similarly, that the bark of a certain tree did wonders for malaria, and science, of course, discovered quinine. Are we also involved in an old wives' tale? Probably.
Now, Miss Katie O'Neill, I don't want you to lose me. But as I understand it, your father had unearthed some mythical character, the Old Man of the Rock.
Oh, yes. And how well he was known in the countryside.
Oh, the Old Man of the Rock. Just who was he?
He was a Dane.
A Dane?
A Viking. One who had invaded Ireland 1,000 years ago.
Oh, you mean one who had conquered Ireland?
We don't talk about that. And besides, they all took Irish names and learned the Irish tongue and became truly Irish, so it can be said that we conquered them.
Well, now you must bring me back to the Old Man of the Rock.
Ah, yes. He was a Viking. A Scandinavian.
Yes?
He was a Dubgale, a Dane, a black foreigner, as distinguishable from a Fingale, a fair foreigner, a Norwegian.
I see. Is this important?
As you said, Sergeant, police work is an exact science.
Continue, Katie O'Neill.
And they laid waste the land with fire and sword, but they could not conquer. So they remained to become a part of it.
And the Old Man on the Rock?
He was a Dane who had ranged as far north as the River Liffey. And one day, he saw a huge rock, and he said, I will build me a castle, and this rock shall be a foundation stone. And he commanded his men to move it, but it could not be budged from the spot.
Yes?
And it was not that large nor heavy a rock.
Well, it could not be moved.
No.
And what happened?
No one knows what happened.
Oh. Well, then?
One day, this Dubgale chieftain, this dark foreigner, disappeared.
Oh, now, what do you mean, disappeared?
Disappeared. Vanished. Was no more.
Well, what became of him? Where did he go?
Ah, that is the legend.
What legend?
Of what legend are we speaking? The legend of the Old Man in the Rock.
Yes?
It is said he would go to the rock, this rock that would not be moved from its spot to become a stone for his castle. And he would say, Rock, why do you refuse to be taken from the ground and become part of the great wall of my castle? And do you know what the rock replied?
Well, I have no way of knowing that the rock could even speak.
A voice was heard to come from the rock, and it said, You have no need for a rock to form the wall of your castle, dark foreigner. Inside your body is something even harder than I am. Your heart.
Mm-hmm. This is what the rock purportedly said.
Purportedly, is it?
Well, is there documentation to that effect?
Of course. There were witnesses who had seen and heard.
Well, continue, Miss Katie O'Neill.
For a moment, the Dubgale said nothing. He was, as you may safely assume, overcome with fear and surprise.
Yes, I can safely make that assumption.
And a terrible look came into his eyes.
Terrible?
And he said, Yes, if my heart is rock, then it means that I am rock. And I am that rock. That rock.
Well, now that's drawing a long bow, wouldn't you say?
It makes fine sense indeed.
I'm sorry. I shall not interrupt again. And then what happened?
What happened? He retired to his tent.
Yes?
And he was seen no more.
Well, what became of him?
Evidently, he became the rock.
Well, now, how could he do that?
Well, he was the rock. He said he was, didn't he?
Yes, but...
Let there be no buts. Ah, those were the exact words my father said to my mother that morning. I remember it. I remember as if it were yesterday. We were sitting at the table in the kitchen, and my father said,
Let there be no buts, Bridget O'Neill. I have this book. I bought it in Belfast. 4 shillings.
4 shillings. And I have had no meat on this table in 6 months.
And a good thing. Meat is conducive to the gout.
Only rich people get the gout. We are in no danger here.
Ah, we are in great danger. Tomorrow we shall be rich.
Do not speak this way in front of the child. She will think her father is mad. Oh, it is just his way of talking, Katie. He means no harm.
Of course not. I mean only good. Yes, this book. See, it is 400 years old.
For 6 shillings you're entitled to a book that is brand new.
The book, you see, it says the Dub Gale entered into the rock where he had time to repent his many sins.
Oh, ate your fish.
It wants salt.
Oh, Katie, pass your father the shaker.
Thank you, child. Yeah, I can't seem to get any salt to come out.
Well, shake harder.
This wretched salt shaker.
Well, it is a damp day.
Why don't you get a new one?
For 6 shillings I could have had one of silver.
Yeah, well, tomorrow you shall have one of gold.
Yes. Pure gold.
If I can find the old man of the rock, he will
lead you straight to the devil.
No. That is the old wives' tale. You see, he has had a change of heart. Too much slaughter and pillage has sickened him, has turned his heart to stone.
Who says that?
This book right here. His heart is a heavy burden inside him. He seeks to lighten it by doing good for good people. And so, if I can find him...
If you...
Yes, this book tells how to find him.
Well, why didn't the person who wrote the book find him and become rich?
He could not.
Why?
Because he was a monk who had sworn a vow of poverty.
Poverty? He gets 6 shillings for every copy of the book.
He doesn't get the money. He's been dead these 400 years.
Well, the person who sold you the book, why doesn't he go to the old man of the rock and get rich?
He can't.
Why not?
Because the book is written in Gaelic and he cannot read it. Now, in this book are detailed instructions on how one may find the rock. One must wait for the first moonless night of the month, which happens to be tonight.
Terence O'Neill.
One waits for the first sound of a nightingale.
Nightingale? There are no nightingales in these parts.
There are when one seeks the old man of the rock. One listens.
I do not care how keen your ears. You cannot hear a nightingale where there are none.
One does not listen with the ears, but with the heart.
I see.
I'm happy. Now you understand.
Oh, my poor Terence. You were not intended for poverty. It has turned your brain, and I have helped.
Now, Bridget, what do you say?
Oh, I shall help you be happy. I shall neither scold nor nag, my darling Terence. I shall support these delusions.
Bridget, we shall be rich tomorrow, for I shall find the old man of the rock. I shall find him.
Oh, where are you going?
To the old man of the rock, my darling Bridget. Good night.
Oh, Terence! Oh, that man, he'll catch his death. Child, Katie, child, he didn't even take his hat. Here, run after him and see that he puts it on his head.
And I did. I ran from the house, but I did not wish to catch up with my father. For if I should, he would take the hat and tell me to go home. And of course, I would have to obey him.
So what did you do? Something naughty, no doubt.
Oh, yes. I followed him in the dark, through fields, through the woods, keeping far enough behind so he couldn't see me, but close enough to hear him read from the book. And you shall hear a nightingale's song. And he stopped, and he listened. And I stopped, and I listened. And of a sudden, I heard it.
And what did you hear?
What are we talking about? The nightingale's song.
The nightingale?
Yes, the nightingale. as soft and as sweet and as silvery clear.
Well, are you positive it was a nightingale?
Ah, yes.
On what evidence, Katie O'Neill? For after all, you never heard one before.
On the evidence of my heart.
Ah, yes. The only true evidence there is. Well, I must let you continue uninterrupted.
And my father laughed, his great, joyous laugh, and he said, "The nightingale." And we follow her dulcet tones to a tree, a patriarch of the forest, an ancient oak. Its limbs are bare, but the heart still beats truly within. Oh, yes. And beneath this oak is a rock, a large-sized rock, great enough for the foundation stone of a castle.
And was that the rock?
My father stood before the rock, and I could hear him say,
Old man of the rock, I approach with clean heart and a soul that is free from malice. Old man of the rock, hear me. I come to seek your aid. Therefore, I bid you, materialize from within the stone and lift the weight from your own heart. Dubgale, dark foreigner, appear before me.
Oh, calls me dark foreigner.
It's you. It's true. You. Where did you come from?
Oh, you've seen where I came from. The rock.
Old man of the rock. I believed it. I believed it truly.
That is why I have appeared. And why have you come to me?
I want to be rich.
All men desire riches. It was for wealth that I try give Lodnar sailed from Daneland, a Viking pirate. But I've learned better.
Oh, I do not ask to be rich for myself.
You do not?
For private gain.
Is that a fact?
I want riches for what they can do.
And what can they do?
Bring joy.
Not all rich men are joyful. I can say this, having known many. Indeed, having been one myself.
But wealth, it is not meant to be kept.
It is not.
You know it is not, old man of the rock. It is meant to be given away. It should be used to feed the poor, to protect the widow, to raise the orphan, to relieve the oppressed.
And this is what you would do with wealth?
This is what I would wish to do with my wealth.
It's a noble ambition.
And so, will you grant me my wish, old man of the rock?
I will grant a wish.
But this is my wish.
But is it also your wife's wish?
My wife? What has my wife to do with...
Well, she too must be considered.
But why?
Because you are not alone. A man and wife are one, in body, in soul, in spirit.
But my wish is her wish.
Are you sure now?
Oh, she's a good-hearted woman. A bit short in the temper, perhaps, but a kind heart, a generous soul.
Well, now, that is what we're going to find out.
And we shall find out all about it in Act 3. Here we have the old man of the rock, this Viking turned Irish. Ah, well, those were days filled with action and magic. And so are these, if you know where to look.
This is WBBM Chicago, a United Airlines strike averted. Details at 11:30.
Now, where were we? In a police station, almost 100 years ago, listening to pretty Katie O'Neill telling handsome Sergeant Smith about a purse that was stolen from her. And to make the tale complete, she must go all the way back to Ireland, many years ago, and an encounter between her father and a mysterious being known as the Old Man of the Rock.
And so this mythical character, he emerged from the rock, did he?
Emerged, materialized, 'tis all one.
And you saw it?
With my own two eyes.
And I still cannot decide whether they're blue or green. Oh, but pray, continue.
And so they had this confrontation. My father, Terence O'Neill, and the Old Man of the Rock.
And what happened?
the old man explained how it would have to work.
Being rich is a complicated business.
It seems rather simple to me, old man.
What does it now? That is perhaps because you've never been rich yourself.
True.
And how would you choose to be rich? In land? In gold?
I would have to think.
In goods? In stocks? In bonds?
I would just like to be rich.
Well, you cannot wish just to be rich.
And why not?
What is rich? Oh, you and your wife must decide. You must talk together. You must understand together. And you must decide together. And then you must wish.
Oh, well, that should not be too difficult.
Come, we shall walk back to your home together.
Right now?
Is there reason to wait?
No.
Well, then come. For now I've placed a charm on the home of Terence O'Neill. Come, lad. The charm lies over your cottage.
Charm?
From this point on, the very first wish that is made in your house shall be granted.
The very first wish?
The very first and only wish. For it is possible to give but one to a suppliant.
I see.
And so, talk it over carefully with Bridget and decide what that wish shall be.
So, Katie O'Neill, what happened?
They started back toward the cottage, with me following unobserved close behind. And once again we heard the song of the nightingale. So gentle and clear in the stillness of the night.
And?
It was the dead of winter, but there was a warm breeze in the air, and the ground was gentle underfoot. Soon we were in sight of the house. The little house where I lived with my father and mother.
Yes?
We walked inside, and when my mother saw my father, she was furious because he was not wearing his hat. She was about to tell him so, but then she saw this old man dressed in old clothes, and she said,
Whom have you brought home this time of the night?
Bridget, darling, I would like you to meet the old man of the rock.
The old man of the rock, you say?
Yes, indeed, my darling. Old man. May I present my partner in this world and the next, the lovely Bridget O'Neill.
I'm charmed to make your acquaintance.
The old man of the rock, is it?
I have that honor, ma'am.
Yes. Well, like goes to like. One cracked brain finds another.
Now, Bridget, we have a matter of the deepest import to discuss.
Have we indeed?
Yes. It concerns becoming rich.
Oh, well, that can wait a day or two, I'm certain. If not a year or a lifetime.
And so, Bridget, you and I must discuss...
You and I must discuss your lack of manners, Terence O'Neill. When a guest is brought into the house, he must be served a cup of tea.
I would be grateful for a cup of tea, Bridget O'Neill.
And while the old man of the rock here is enjoying his cup of tea, you, Bridget, and I shall be exploring the various manners, methods, and techniques, as it were, of becoming rich.
Rich?
Yes, rich. Rich as Midas. Rich as Croesus.
Rich?
I told you. He's the old man of the rock.
Oh, and I am the queen who lives in Windsor Palace.
Tell her you are the old man of the rock.
I'm the old man of the rock.
And now to business.
I will have no business until I have discharged my duties as a hostess. Oh, you look hungry indeed, my old man of the rock.
Well, no. It has been a long fast.
Oh, a bit of bread of my own baking, and a piece of fish that I caught with my own two hands, seeing as how my husbands are too busy supporting the covers of a book.
Oh, I'm thankful, ma'am. Truly thankful.
Bridget, you must listen now. We must make a wish.
A wish, is it? Oh, and how is the fish, my old man of the rock?
Oh, fine. Just fine.
No, speak freely.
Well, it wants a bit of salt.
Oh, easily mended. Katie, pass the salt shaker to your father's old man of the rock.
Bridget, will you listen? We must make a wish for a certain kind of wealth. land, money, livestock.
Indeed.
Yes. And whatever wish we make, the old man of the rock here will see that it comes true.
Will he?
Yes, Bridget, it is the truth.
Is it?
Bridget, the very next wish you make will come true. And that's a fact.
A fact?
You don't believe me?
Old man of the rock. What is the trouble, sir?
Oh, no trouble.
Oh, but I can see there is trouble. Oh, it's that old salt shaker.
Well...
It refuses to allow the salt to flow out.
Well, it's quite damp, you know.
Yes, I know. If only...
If only what?
Oh, it's impossible.
Bridget, we must consider our wish.
What wish?
Oh, what wish have I been talking about now? The one wish that will be granted us. Now, Bridget, if you could have one wish, what would it be?
No, old man. It doesn't do any good to shake that infernal salt cellar. Not in this weather.
Bridget, my darling, let us talk together for a moment and decide on our wish.
I know my wish. I wish...
No, don't say that. Not yet. Not until we decide.
But I've decided. I wish...
Bridget!
I wish the salt would flow out of that shaker in all weather. Smooth, clear, in a beautiful stream of glistening white.
Bridget.
Oh, my... Oh, Terence, look. Do you see?
The salt.
See how it flows from the shaker. How smoothly, how quickly, how freely.
Bridget, what have you done?
You know what she's done, Terence O'Neill. She's made her wish.
But...
Now, how do you account for the shaker behaving in just that fashion?
Bridget.
The weather. It must have become dry outside.
Bridget, that was our wish.
Yes, Terence, that was your wish.
What are you saying?
We could have had the world. And now all we have is a salt shaker from which the salt shall always flow freely.
Well, Terence O'Neill, you must admit, this is no small thing.
Yeah, true.
What are you two talking about?
Let me say this. Since I've been the old man of the rock, since I've heard wishes made, never has there been a wish made with such heartfelt sincerity.
Is that true, old man?
Oh, yes, it's the truth.
You really wanted that salt to flow, Bridget?
Oh, now, what fool's tricks are you two playing?
Could you answer me, Bridget?
Answer him, child.
No, what is this?
At that moment, Bridget, more than anything else in the world, did you want the salt to flow? Answer, Bridget.
Yes.
Oh, Bridget, why?
Why? Well, I looked at this old man, this poor, tired old man, and I said to myself, oh, here's one whose face is lined, whose eyes are weary, whose life has been hard, whose death will be bitter.
But, Bridget...
He can count his woes by the hairs on his head, but his joys, perhaps on the fingers of his hands. And he was trying to put just a few grains of salt on his fish. So small a pleasure, and even this was being denied him. And my heart almost cried within me. So small a thing, so tiny a pleasure. Why should it be kept from him? And so I wished...
Yes, she wished.
Oh, how wonderful. My dearest darling Bridget. Oh, what a glorious wish.
Oh, the two of you must be drunk.
Yes, drunk. Drunk with happiness and joy. To know what a wife I possess.
Oh, do not flirt with your wife in front of a stranger.
No man who sits at my table is a stranger.
Ah, the salt. See the salt. How freely it flows. And it shall freely flow from this salt shaker. Forever.
And that's why it's a magical salt shaker.
Yes, even a police sergeant can see that.
A grand tale.
But a true one.
And the further history of this remarkable artifact.
I was sent to America. This salt shaker was the gift of my dearest father, Terence O'Neill, and I have kept it with me from that day to this dark and infamous day when it was so cruelly stolen away.
Oh, I'm touched by your story, Miss Katie O'Neill.
And what will you do?
It's a most difficult assignment. Miss O'Neill, shall you promise me something?
First, I must hear.
If I return your salt shaker,
Shall you accompany me to the park this evening to enjoy the concert by Mr. John Philip Sousa and his band of stalwart United States Marines?
And how do you intend to find my salt shaker, Sergeant?
Well, the salt shaker is magical, no?
Yes.
Then I shall exercise powers of magic to bring it back to its rightful owner.
I shall be waiting at the oak tree near the bandstand, my good Sergeant Smith. And if you have the salt shaker, you may approach. However...
Oh, there's no need for however, Miss Katie O'Neill. By my magical powers, I shall have the salt shaker ready for its rightful owner. Miss Katie O'Neill!
Ah, 'tis you. Approach no further unless...
But I have it. See how freely the salt flows.
Oh, Sergeant Smith. Sergeant Smith, you worked magic.
Magic, of course.
And shall you tell me the magic?
Oh, that cannot be revealed. But it's great magic.
Shall I tell you the magic? You see, I happen to know that all pickpockets, purse snatchers, and thieves of that ilk have their territory. Indeed, if they see someone else practice their depredations on that spot, they will turn the intruders over to the police. Is that a fact?
You're telling the story, Katie O'Neill.
And so, what you did was to ascertain which thief is the regular, shall we say, at 5th and Main. And you told him to produce the salt shaker, or else.
Miss Katie O'Neill, what a suspicious nature you possess. But I retrieved the salt shaker.
Yes, you did.
From which the salt will always flow. And that's magic.
Yes, that is magic.
And so, Katie O'Neill, shall you accompany me home after the concert to meet me mother?
Shall you accompany me home to meet me mother? An old-fashioned line to an old-fashioned ending to an old-fashioned story. And so, the romantics in the house have had their innings. We've had love and magic. And I shall return with more. And from the shaker, the salt shall always flow. And so shall the blessings. If you had one wish, what would you really wish for? All the money in the world? Do you really want or need all the money in the world? Think again, and think deeply. What is it you would really wish for? One of the things I always wish for is to meet you here 7 times each week. Our cast included Terry Keane, Fred Gwynn, Bryna Rayburn, and Lloyd Batista. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
And now, a preview of our next tale.
I paid for what I did. Believe me, I paid.
You haven't paid enough.
Well, what do you want? What do you want from me? Money?
That's not what you stole from me.
What then? Tell me.
I don't know. I'm just here to collect, Jade. How you want to pay me is up to you.
This is my gate. This is my house. You follow me in and I will have you arrested for trespassing.
I won't follow you in, Jade, but I'll be waiting. And whenever you leave your house, I'll be waiting to follow you wherever you go.
For how long?
Until you pay.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by X-Lax. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
News Radio 78 WBBM, Chicago.
WBBM time 10:31.
Sit around your radio, listening to our mystery show. with someone you'd like to know. And Vina Rose, pull the shades and lock the door. Turn the sound up even more. Get a glass and quickly pour some Vina Rose. We hope you'll find our story strange and frightful. We know you'll find our Vina wine delightful. Now it's time that we commence with a tale of great suspense, brought to you with compliments of Vina Rose.
Recorded by Hugh Blount, Hartford, Connecticut. The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. They say there do be girls in Galway that are the fairest in the world. Of course, there are other things in Galway, all Ireland for that matter, that you don't find anywhere else. Cluricauns and banshees, the little folk, and of course the leprechaun himself. Blarney and the Blarney Stone itself. So many things that are hard to credit that the only way is to make a trip there for yourselves, as we are now going to do.
Oh, Mother of Heaven, he's at it again, Mary.
Uncle Terence?
Who else? Rattling his portrait against the chimney stones and wailing like the banshee he is.
Oh, well, Sean, you know what he's after. Turn the picture face to the wall and give the poor man the chance to dress himself in privacy.
All right, Mary. Oh, but where would he want to be off to today? There's no wake or wedding or holy day to celebrate.
But if he's taken advantage of the leprechaun's promise, there's something special in the wind. Now, you being the man, take a wee peep there and see if he's gone.
He's gone. The canvas is bare as a turnip.
Then mark my word, Sean Daly, we're in for some excitement in Glenford. I wonder what will be this time.
Our mystery drama, The Wakeful Ghost, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Paul Hecht. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Contact, the 12-hour cold capsule. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
You're on the open road, rolling free and feeling great about your new Buick Century. Because in published EPA mileage test results, a V6 Buick Century got the best highway mileage of any U.S. midsize car. 24 miles per gallon and 16 in the city. Your Century's comfortable, it's nimble, it's economical, and above all, it's a Buick. Living free.
Boy, do I have a headache. Why do they have to make these caps so hard to open?
For a very good reason. Children open things that they shouldn't. That's why we have safety packaging. For the life of your child, you can live with a little inconvenience. For further information, write the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, Washington, D.C. 20207.
Here's a different kind of a mystery for you. How can you be in three places at once? Well, it's no mystery at Northwest Federal Savings. Every Northwest Federal Saver can be in three places at once in all three Northwest Federal Savings Centers. How? Well, the minute you become a Northwest Federal Saver, our computer registers you in all three places. Open your account at any savings center, and you can use any office anytime you want to make a deposit, a withdrawal, or to pay utility bills. You can do all this and more in the Northwest Federal Savings Center nearest you. Come visit at Irving Park, Dempster and Des Plaines, or Harlem Irving. It's Northwest Federal's 50th year. Now, the only mystery is how Northwest Federal can make it even easier for you to save. We keep trying 63 hours a week.
It's Northwest Federal Savings Time, 63 hours a week.
Brian Mackin finished his last year of med school and found himself with $1,000 left of his inheritance and 2 weeks before he began his internship. He was weary from the long struggle for his medical degree because in spite of scholarships, he had to work outside to raise money for the 6 years of study. Both his parents were dead. So far as he knew, he was alone in the world. But his background was Irish, and he had some vague memory that an aunt and uncle were living still in the old country. So he decided to spend the 2 weeks on a vacation, which was to change his whole life.
Nobody's going to believe this, but it's exactly what happened to me in Ireland. After roaming around a few days in Dublin, I took a train for Ballinasloe and Galway to the west. The only clue I had to my uncle and aunt was an old postcard with that postmark and their names, Sean and Mary Daly, which is sort of equivalent to John and Mary Smith. I didn't have much hope of finding them, but it was a joy just to have nothing to do with my last 3 days playing detective. No one was more surprised than I when a ruddy-faced little gentleman walked up to me at the station.
Sure, now, I couldn't be mistaken, but just for the politeness of the thing and observing the formalities as twirl. But you wouldn't be Brian Mackin from America.
Well, yes, that's exactly who I would be.
And now you're maybe wondering who I am.
Well, yes, I am. I am indeed.
Sure. I'm your great-uncle Terence on your mother's side, once or twice removed. For I was born on the wrong side of the blanket, they say. Oh, I don't know myself nor care. For sure. In my own opinion, I was a changeling, which accounts for my close associations with the... that's of no matter for the moment. Terence Krushkin is the name. Terence Kinsella Clonmay Krushkin. But your Uncle Terence, well, sir. 'Tis the way most people know me.
Well, I'm still puzzled. How did you know me?
I've a little cart and a pony waiting. Oh. And if we want to get to your aunt and uncle's before dark, I'm thinking we'd best get along. And I'll tell you all on the way.
I don't mean to be rude, sir, but I still would like to know how you knew I was coming here today. I only made up my mind on the spur of the moment this morning.
No, that's where you're wrong, do you see?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, while we're riding along, would you like a little dash of poteen to warm the cockles of your heart?
Is that the Irish whiskey you make out of bog water that's about 180 proof?
The same?
No, thanks. No, that's the stuff I had last night in Dublin that knocked me out like a Mickey. I'm still not over it.
Well, now then, to answer your question.
Yeah.
How I knew to expect you. Do you remember the little chap in the green bowler you met at the Snug last night?
Oh, yeah, I remember him. He introduced me to this nectar.
Well, now, McDrouche is a friend of mine.
Yeah, well, that's not what he said last night.
That he wasn't a friend?
No, I mean that wasn't his name.
Oh, he probably called himself Michael Mahan or some such.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure, that's what he uses as a cover when he's out and about the town.
What is he, a secret agent, IRA or something?
Not him. He's all peace and goodwill. He's a leprechaun.
A leprechaun?
That's right.
Oh, God, come on, Uncle Terence. Stop pulling my leg. Michael Mahan was no leprechaun.
Did he have a little green bowler?
Well, I don't know if you could call it green. It was
green.
Old.
And did he have pointy little ears just under his hat rim at the top, like?
Well, as a matter of fact, medically, I was interested because the auricular cartilage was strangely shaped.
The what was what?
At the top of his ears.
There. You see? There's your answer. Enough to convince an American. Anyway, your friend the leprechaun sent me a message in a way that we have. And that's how
must be the greatest put-on of all time. You're not going to tell me you're a leprechaun, too.
Oh, no. I'm more of a banshee, you might call me, but with special privileges. Oh, yes, quite special. But that can wait. Oh, Mariner.
Oh, is this where my aunt and uncle live?
It is.
Sean and Mary Daly?
That's who they are.
Are they expecting me?
Lord bless you, no, but you'll be welcome, son, as welcome as the flowers in May. Here, take your bags and jump on down.
Aren't you coming in with me to introduce me?
Well, sure, you're a nice, well-mannered lad, and you'll manage by yourself. But it's time enough to put Maureen and the cat and myself away till any of us is needed. God hold you in his pocket till we meet again.
We are going to, aren't we?
Oh, yes, indeed. I don't know how 'tis to be arranged, but I have plans for you in the future of more than one.
At the moment he was calling it back to me, the twilight was upon us. It must have been some trick of the rising evening mist, but I swear, before he reached the corner of the building, Uncle Terence, the old-fashioned cart, and Maureen, who pulled it, seemed to disappear in the gathering gloom.
Good evening to you, young gentlemen.
Excuse me, are you, by any chance, Mrs. Sean Daly?
I am that.
Did you have a brother who emigrated to America called Thomas Mackin?
I did. And you're from America?
Yeah.
You couldn't be... It's Brian you are. Brian Mackin, whose mother was Margaret Denise.
That's me. Hi, Aunt Mary.
Oh, Brian. Oh, me darling boy, me darling boy. Oh, forgive me. Come in. Sean, will you look who's here? It's Tommy's son and Margaret. This is your Uncle Sean.
Well, 'tis a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, sit down. Sean, take the boy's bag.
Yes.
How did you ever find us? Oh, it's been years since we lost track. Sean and me had to move so sudden like, and our letters seemed to go astray. Now tell me about Tom and Margaret.
Well, Mother and Dad both died suddenly within a month of each other. I've been so busy burying myself in schoolwork, I didn't... I let everything else go.
Oh, you poor darling. Oh, if I'd known. Oh, you must tell us all about it.
Can I get you a wee nip to settle you?
Oh, no, thanks. I'm learning to be careful of Irish nips.
Well, then I'll get you something to eat. Now, you'll stay the night with us in a few days?
Sure, I've got till the weekend before I have to catch my plane home.
Oh.
Anyway, I'll wait to have dinner with all of you. Aunt Mary... Uncle Sean and Uncle Terence.
Uncle who?
Uncle Terence. He met me at the station, brought me here. I'd never found you without him. He just went to put the horse and cart away.
A little mare with one black eye and one white?
Yeah, that's Maureen.
And did you expect to meet him at the station?
No, he absolutely floored me. I mean, the only reason I came to Ballinasloe was because I found an old card from you to Mother with a postmark. I was just taking a wild stab in the dark that someone might know about you or where you live. I wanted to... Well, I mean, as far as I know, you are my only living relative.
Oh, we are, darling, we are.
Well, I didn't know about Uncle Terence and, well...
And what, Brian? You can be free with us.
Well, I don't know what to say. He talked about leprechauns and banshees, you know, that sort of thing. I might have thought he was a little, I guess you'd say touched, except for... Well, I shouldn't talk this way. I loved him. He was fun and amusing, full of a wonderful zest for life, but sort of scary, too. Is he the same at home here?
Oh, he can be all of those, though we don't see much of it anymore. Uncle Terence is a great problem to us.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Nothing to do with you.
I hope you won't tell him some of the things I just said or intimated. When he comes in for dinner, I mean.
He won't be here for dinner.
Oh, I thought he lived here.
Well, so he does, in a sort of way.
I think it's time that we told the boy the truth, Sean, as best we can.
Yes. Well, you had a good long look at Uncle Terence. He wouldn't forget it.
Oh, no, never.
Look behind the picture and make sure...
Yes, he's back again. Now, come here. You see this portrait, Brian? Now, would that Would that be Uncle Terence?
Oh, yeah. That's him. That's him to the life.
You're not exactly. The gentleman you are looking at has been dead these 35 years.
What?
The only problem is that he won't stay decently in his grave.
So Brian Mackin has come all the way to Ireland to find a real uncle and aunt. And in addition, a quite unreal uncle. A man who appears to be able to rise from the grave full-bodied by the mere device of having his portrait turned to the wall. No wonder Brian is convinced that it's all illusionary, a pipe dream programmed by that potent poteen. And yet, this is only the beginning. I'll be back shortly with Act 2.
Give your hand to a friend. Give your heart to your love. But give your cold to contact. The sooner the better.
Sneezing, drips, congestion. What next?
6 or 3 or 1.
Is that an answer or a question?
That's the question when you catch the common cold. For you, the answer is 12-hour contact.
Why?
Well, because you need 6 cold tablets, 2 every 4 hours, or 3 cold pills, 1 every 4 hours, or just 1 contact capsule for up to 12 hours continuous relief of your sneezing, drips, and congestion. The tiny time pills do it. For aches and fever, the others contain aspirin.
And contact doesn't.
Right. So, 6 or 3 or 1. Your cold, your choice.
I'll take the 1 contact, thank you.
Give your cold to contact. The sooner the better.
6 or 3 or 1. Take contact only as directed.
Who knows how to help you solve your shopping problems? Your Better Business Bureau knows.
Sam Spud, private investigator. Oh, Sam, I'm so glad you called.
You sound rattled, Angel.
I'm frantic, Sam. I went to buy the carpet for the office, and I got so confused. There are too many kinds. I didn't know what to ask or what to buy.
I'll help you, young lady.
Mercy, who are you?
I'm the man from the Better Business Bureau. Now, when you're choosing carpet, make sure you pick a long-wearing one that'll go with your walls, draperies, and upholstery. Beware of so-called fantastic bargains. And don't buy a carpet that isn't labeled as to fiber content.
Oh, Sam, now I know what to look for and ask before I buy a carpet.
You floor me, Angel.
Just another helpful tip from your Better Business Bureau.
Z. Frank Chevrolet, world's largest dealer, says, try and beat us. WBBM time 1049. See it, buy it at the Midwest Boat Show, Arlington Park Expo Center.
Back again to our world of fantasy and a young American trapped in a web of superstition, illusion, or perhaps just the spell the Emerald Island can weave so easily about any visitor to its shores. Still, whatever doubts and fears he may have taken to bed with him, they are all dispelled by a glorious sunrise that wakes him up with cockcrow.
My window faced to the east, with the sun streaming in and striking shafts of golden light from a blue river a few miles away. I climbed out of the host of warm blankets and quilt that covered my bed. The room was cold enough for me to seek the sun's warmth directly. And it was there, at the window, I first saw Sheila. She was not a small girl. She was tall and sturdy, but she walked as though each footfall was no heavier than a feather landing on the ground. She had long brown hair and purple eyes, with a wide mouth that, well, once I saw it break in a smile, made me make up my mind. This was going to be my gal. Since she was approaching the house carrying a basket, I don't suppose I ever dressed faster in my life to get down in time not to miss meeting her.
Good morning, Brian. And did you sleep well?
Oh, yes, the best sleep I've had since I can remember.
Sure, it was a short enough one, and you were so tired.
Well, that cock was crowing, and...
that old rooster, he's an old fake. Small use he is to hens anymore, his best days being over. Never a chick in the last 2 years. There's not over 4 or 5 layers we have left. So Sheila here and me, we have a bargain. Oh, you not have met Sheila O'Shaughnessy from the next farm over. Sheila, this is my nephew, all the way from the United States of America.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr.
Mackin. Brian Mackin.
Oh, it's a good West Country name. Mr. Mackin.
Yeah, well, my grandfather came from here. From Galway, I mean. They say he was quite a bully boy.
Aye. Well, those days are past, praise be. Still, the way things are, we were better off with a shillelagh than a gun.
Oh, well, I couldn't agree with you more. Anyone who plans to be a doctor...
Is that what you're away to be?
Well, I already am. I mean, I've graduated and have my license. Now I have to intern and be a hospital resident for a few years till I start out on my own.
Oh, that's grand. I have a great admiration for doctors.
No, then this will have to hold, or the bread will burn up on us. And I want you to get it home with a little heat left in it.
This is Mrs. Daly's bargain with me. I bring her a basket of eggs, and she bakes the most delicious bread this side of heaven.
Here's the basket. Keep the towel tucked in good and tight, man.
Never fear.
That's a heavy basket. Why don't I carry it for you to your house?
I was going to give you your breakfast.
Yeah, well, it'll wait. I always like a little exercise before I eat.
Well, you'll be after getting that, all right. It's a good 1.5 miles to Sheila's place, and a road like a switchback all the way.
Oh, the basket is nothing. It's light as a feather.
No, I really would like a walk, if you don't object.
I don't object. I've a curious turn of mind, and I'd like to hear all about America.
Oh, what I'd really like you to be able to do is to show it to you, but why don't you show me Ireland first?
Yeah. Was that Sheila O'Shaughnessy then?
The same.
Oh, now, damn it. Well, why didn't she wait long enough for me to get down and get my little morning peck on the cheek, huh?
Sure, she has little interest in an old gaffer like you. But you should have seen her reaction to Brian and his to her.
Well, will you look at the two of them? She's over shoulder high to him. Oh, what a fine couple they'd make.
Don't I know it? And don't I know just as well I should never have let the boy go off with even a pinch of hope in his heart. No, and she can't ever be for him.
And is it really true that in Chicago they have a building that's 96 whole stories high in the air?
Oh, yeah, that's true enough. It's so damn high that half the time the people on the top floors can't tell what to wear when they go out.
Well, how is that?
Well, you see, it's air-conditioned, and when the cloud cover is low, they can't see down to the street, so they don't know if it's raining or snowing or cold or hot or what.
Well, you just imagine that now, living above the clouds. It'd be a sort of fairyland.
Well, nothing like the one you live in here, right on the ground.
Oh, sure. Air is lovely. But there are other lovely places in the world I'd want to see.
Hey, you know a lot about America anyway.
Well, I watch the telly, you know. And I read a lot. And Oh, here. It's winded you are. I'll slow down a bit.
It's these damn hills. Up and down like a roller coaster.
That's what Mrs. Daly meant by a switchback.
I'm surprised to find myself so out of condition.
Will you be staying with the Dalys for a while?
On one condition.
What's that?
That you'll take another walk with me. Tomorrow's Saturday. We could take a picnic lunch along and climb that mountain over there.
Oh, I'm afraid I couldn't do that.
You have another date?
No, it's not that. Oh, you see, my dad's dead, and it's just my mother and me, and she's half crippled with rheumatism.
Oh.
I couldn't be leaving her all alone all that time. And then there's the farm chores to be done.
I could come over and help you get those out of the way.
Dr. Mackin.
Brian.
Well, it's a bit soon and all, but if you want, Brian. Oh, it's just no good. It's not the way it should be.
You don't want to go with me. Is that it, Sheila?
Sheila. I do want to, Brian, I do.
Oh, well, then come.
It'd be my only chance now. I'll meet you. Here, by this brig we're about to cross. And before dawn tomorrow, so we'll not be seen. We'll spend a whole long, lovely day together. with no one the wiser.
But can't I tell Uncle Sean and Aunt Mary?
Oh, don't tell anyone. It's our secret.
But the picnic.
I'll take care of that. Now, you leave me here till tomorrow at, say, 4:30.
Well, whatever you say. Sheila.
I know. So do I. God help the both of us.
He was gone in a second with that light, loping stride that covered ground almost as fast as a man running. I watched her as long as I could, away down that dusty, twisting, hilly road, appearing and disappearing, till at last she was out of sight. But not out of mind. Never out of mind. Sheila. Just her name was a song of love. I walked back on air. But fortunately, as it turned out, as I came back in the house, the first thing my eye fell on was the portrait of Uncle Terence. And for the moment, Sheila was out of my mind. Oh, no, thanks. I couldn't eat another thing. Now, the only thing I'm hungry for now is information.
About Sheila, is that you mean?
Sheila. No. I'd rather find out about her directly.
Brian, about Sheila. Maybe I ought to tell you something.
No, Uncle, I'd rather for the moment stick to Uncle Terence. Now, you said he's been dead for nearly 35 years.
Oh, yeah, 2 years almost to the day before that portrait was painted. He died in 1940.
Now, are you sure of that?
Oh, sure, I know it well. I was just a slip of a girl not married to Sean yet. But it was the biggest wake this part of Galway has ever seen. 'Tis a pity he couldn't have enjoyed it for himself. He always was the life and soul of them, with his stories and all.
Yes, he does dearly love a wake, just as much as a wedding.
I did, Sean.
Did what?
Did love a wake.
But now, look, I saw him last night. I talked to him. He brought me here.
Now, lad, you'll have to remember, you had a wee drop taken, and poteen can scramble a man's brain.
I can't believe that the drip... How did Uncle Terence die?
A hero at Dunkirk.
Dunkirk?
He was in the First World War, you know, in the Navy. And nothing would do, but he had to be in the last big one, too.
But a man 60 years old, they wouldn't take him.
No.
So he joined up with the Home Guard. When the retreat at Dunkirk came, with his Navy experience, he was taking a boat back and forth the whole 3 days.
And when he saw that it would be his last trip, he found one of the fighting boys to take his ship back and gave up his own place to stay behind with a machine gun.
The last boat out, just ahead of the Jerry's, brought him back. They say he had more lead in him than salt in a full salt cellar.
But his finger was still wrapped around the trigger of his gun.
It was a sad wake, that, Uncle Terence's. The only sad one I'd ever been to. Although none of them are the same without him to keep the jokes flying.
Even Mahan had naught but sorrow in him. Him who always had a twinkle in his eyes. I remember him just standing in front of the portrait there. Just standing. Not even drinking from his glass.
And do you remember what he said? It was this. He says, a brass of a boy, Terence, me bucko, and you should have lived 100 years. Well, don't you worry. We'll see you do.
I always wondered what he meant by that.
Well, now, don't you see? If he was McDrewish, if Mahan was a real leprechaun...
Now, tush, boy, don't let our Irish fancies run off with you. Sure, all he meant was he wouldn't be soon forgotten. Well, now, I have to be off to work, and Mary has things to do, and Brian, don't dwell on Uncle Terence. Find some other thoughts to fill your head.
Yes, I have. I have.
And that's the great bog to the north. Don't ever go near there, Brian.
Why not, Sheila?
Once the peat catches you, you'll never get free. And they say it'll swallow a man in less than a minute. To the southwest are the rest of the Schlevachti Mountains, the ones we're in now. And away down there, to the southeast, is the River Shannon.
What's the matter? Are you cold?
How could I be cold with your arm about me? Bold. That's what I am. Bold.
Because you love me. And how could you be bashful with a man who loves you now, tomorrow, and forever? I just can't believe my luck.
Don't.
Don't what?
Ah, Brian Boyne. Don't say anything else. It's all been madness from the start.
Love from the start.
For us, the same thing. I should never have allowed you to. But I wanted. I loved. And sure, God can't punish me too deep for just one day of all I've dreamed. Kiss me. We've got to go. It's twilight already.
Oh, just a little longer. And what about tomorrow?
We have no tomorrows. Just kiss me. Goodbye, my love. Goodbye, Brian. Goodbye.
Again, she was gone from me on the wind, gliding and leaping down the mountain, picnic basket in hand, as sure-footed and graceful as a mountain goat. Sheila! Sheila! Wait! She didn't stop to look back, and I plunged down after her, recklessly and clumsily as a boar. I hadn't gone 50 yards before I caught my foot on some trailing root, falling heavily and knocking myself stone cold for a moment. By the time I came to, she was gone from sight. And in the gathering darkness, limping heavily, it was all I could do to find my way back to the daily farm.
Brian, my darling, there you are. Sure, we thought you might be lost in the dark.
Yeah, I'm lost in the dark, all right, Aunt Mary. Now, look, I don't know if it's another of your Irish fantasies or what.
Oh, where have you been all day, lad? Oh, and you're hurt.
Yeah.
Sean, come in here.
Oh, well, I'm coming, Mary. Well, you sound as though someone put the fear of God in you.
Yes.
What's happened at all?
It's Brian. He's hurt.
What?
And more than physically, I'm thinking, were you with Sheila O'Shaughnessy this day?
Yes, I was. And I love her. And I know she loves me.
Oh.
But she's told me goodbye. Why? I mean, am I crazy? Is she just another figment of my imagination?
Oh, you see, Sean, I told you we should have told the boy the truth.
Yeah, well, better late than never. Sheila is engaged to be married to Malachi Malloy.
Well, is that all?
Huh?
Well, then all she has to do is break it.
No, she has a marriage contract.
Well, surely that has no real legal standing.
Today, no. Except, well, you see, a few years ago, Sheila's father had a heart attack. He got into financial difficulties, and the only way out was through Malloy, the loan shark. He lent him the money in exchange for his daughter when she became 21. Well, sure, Joe thought he could have things straightened out before then, but he suddenly had a second attack and died.
Yeah, well, I'll pay the money back.
Have you got it?
Well, no, not right now, but as soon
Oh, no good for Malachi Malloy. Besides, you make so much as one move at Sheila, and in this county, he'd have his woolly boys sew you in a sack and bury you in the peat bog. And the wedding is day after tomorrow.
Now, look, just wait a minute. I mean, this is crazy. This is the 20th century. I'm an American citizen. Must be something I can do. What the devil was that?
Oh, it's Uncle Terence. He wants out again. The Lord knows what to stir up this time. But there's no way to stop the man.
So, here we are back again about where we started. Or are we? But what can Uncle Terence do, or undo, even supposing that's what he's after? Still, why couldn't it be? Since he's now well established as a denizen of the afterworld, I'll return shortly with Act 3. You're driving a car you knew you were going to buy the minute you saw it. Skyhawk. Buick Skyhawk.
You just knew a car this streamlined would be easy on gas, and you were right. In published EPA mileage test results, Skyhawk got 25 miles per gallon on the open road and 16 in the city. Skyhawk. It's rakish, it's low-slung, it looks European, but it's a Buick.
Living free.
This is Nikki Giovanni speaking for the March of Dimes. I really like words, and as a poet, my work depends on them. Sometimes just a few words can carry a very important message, like help fight birth defects for the health of our future generations.
So join the March of Dimes today and find a way of life.
Responsibility to my God, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives me to see the right.
Presented by the Catholic Communications Foundation.
This is WBBM Chicago, News Radio 78.
It was W.S. Gilbert, probably the finest lyricist of all time, who wrote of John Wellington Wells that he was a dealer in magic and spells, in blessings and curses, and ever-filled purses, in prophecies, witches, and knells. I mention him only because it brings us back to our story of magic, fantasy, and, so far, pleasant sorcery. But will it remain that way as Uncle Terence's picture rocks on the wall, and once again we hear the eldritch scream of the banshee wail?
I'll turn the picture to the wall.
But if he's going to appear, it'll only be to the one who turns the picture.
I think this time we'd better let it be Brian.
Now, look, I'm not going to ask any questions anymore. Just leave me alone. I'll turn the picture.
But Brian!
Come away, Mary. We're out of this entirely.
All right, Uncle Terence, or whoever you are, I am about to turn the picture. And all I say is, you get me Sheila, or show me how to get her. And I don't care what the price is, short of my immortal soul, and I'll pay that gladly. Here you go.
Who wants your immortal soul?
Where are you?
Turn around. You have eyes, haven't you? Sitting right here in the fireplace nook.
What are you? Fact or fiction?
Oh, why now, in a manner of speaking, I'd say somewhere in between.
Well, does it make any sense to talk to you?
All the sense in the world.
Even suppose I believed, if you're a banshee.
Now, what's the matter with a banshee?
Well, it's evil, isn't it?
The abysmal ignorance of the world. A banshee, young man, is a domestic spirit devoted to the care of its own particular family.
Oh, well, are you going to help Sheila and me?
Oh, sure, I'm going to do my best, but I'm not infallible. We'll have to be quick and nimble as the devil on this one.
Well, why can't I just go to this Malachi Malloy and straighten it out man to man?
To begin with, did you ever see him?
No.
Oh, he's formidable, lad. No doubt of that. The man is a giant, and he's made of steel.
Well, look, whose side are you on, mine or his?
Easy, lad, easy. Am I not the banshee, and aren't you one of the family? Besides, he's a black Irisher if there ever was one. But I've got to take thought on this, if you're to have the chance I brought you here for in the first place.
You brought me here?
Well, sure, you didn't think as an American you'd have enough sense to get here and pick the right Irish girl for yourself. Now, let me go on back up to my frame and get everything shipshape and squared away. I'll see you on the morrow. And, psst, watch your step.
Uncle Sean and Mary were off to bed by the time our conference was through, I was grateful. I didn't want to talk about Sheila or her intended husband any more that night. I hoped to sleep, but I tossed and turned till morning, and then made the mistake of stepping outside the house for a breath of air. Coming down the road towards me was a great mountain of a man, all covered with black hair wherever his clothes didn't conceal it. And one thing his clothes could not conceal were the bulging muscles that strained at every seam. He was a good 5 inches taller than I was and 30 pounds heavier.
Would you be the American Brian Mackin?
Yeah, that's my name.
I'm Malachi Malloy.
Oh, I kind of guessed that.
I'm of the understanding that you took my intended bride up the mountain yesterday.
Well, she was kind enough to take me up for a picnic and show me the countryside.
A picnic, was it? And the grass stains all over her dress? I should have brought a whip. But instead, I'm going to beat you with my bare hands.
Malachi, don't.
Now, you stay out of this, Sheila.
What's going on, Brian?
No, it's just a little something between me and Mr. Malloy.
Oh, the Lord be praised. Keep them apart and kill him.
Oh.
Don't touch him, Malachi.
Now, you stay back, woman, or I'll kill him. Now, put your hands up, Mackin.
If God always defends the right, he was out for breakfast that morning. Now, I'm not exactly a patsy, and I usually can take care of myself in a fight. But this was a Willie Pat against a Marciano. He just made hamburger of me until he stopped and turned with me lying at his feet.
Have you learned a lesson as well as him, Sheila girl? If you haven't, I'll beat him to death. I'll make sure he never rises again.
Oh, in sweet Mary's name, leave him be, Malachi. I'll marry no one but you if you'll just leave him be.
All right, so be it. Now get out of this country tonight, Mackin, or I'll wring your neck like a chicken's.
Who's that?
Open the window and let me in. Quick now, I'm fading in the daylight.
Uncle Terence, the picture.
Now watch out for it. Let me in there. And close those curtains before I disappear entirely. There, now sure, that's better that is.
What are you? You're just a portrait. And how could you get to the second floor window?
The warning. The only trouble I ever found with a girl is they talk too much. The answer to it all is I'm a banshee, and I look out for my own. Brian is one of them.
Oh, how is he? Was he sore hurt?
Oh, a few bruises, and maybe he lost a tooth or cracked a rib. But what's that to a broken heart? You should know. Am I right?
If you mean the way I feel. I was getting ready to tie a sack of potatoes around my neck, throw myself in the Shannon.
Well, now, that'd be a whole lot ahead. Now, I have a better idea. How would you like to meet Brian at Clonmelly's gate on the way into the Great Bog tonight at midnight?
I can't do it. I owe my father his debts. And besides, Malachi would kill him.
All right. Spare me all the melodramatics. What I mean is, how would you like to convince that hickory-headed, lame-brained Malachi that's what you plan to do?
Why?
Now, what is a banshee for? Will you let me take care of the arrangements from then on?
I will, Uncle Terence. I will.
And, if I'm successful, will you let me give you away when you marry Brian?
How could a banshee do that?
Oh, you let me handle that, too. Just say yes.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Is that the banshee himself? Is it the leprechaun? God save you, McGrush.
God save you, Terence Cricket.
Come here, Brian. Get us a firefly there so we can see what we're at. There, now. That's better. Do you see what Malachi did to the lad?
Oh,
Johnny Ward, right, Brian?
Yeah, well, I took a good beating, but I'll live. It's nice to see you again, Mr. Maha.
Yeah, he said, no, we all know what to do.
Yeah, I just show myself in the moonlight with you in that cape and hood, and then...
And then McGrush will dematerialize you back to the farm.
Right.
And Malachi will have no one to chase but me, thinking I'm Sheila. I'll tell you all the rest later. You have the shoes, McGrush?
Just the one. You know, we leprechauns never make but one magic shoe.
Well, no matter. I can hop like a toad long enough until he's wet in the bog. Psst. Now, 'tis midnight. Here he comes. Send Brian home, McGrush. And give me the shoe. And off I go.
Sheila, I warn you. Wait for me. So you tried to slip away with your light of love, But you won't get away from me so easy. Where are you leading me? Well, we're in the bog. I'm caught. I'm sinking. Sheila, help me. I'm sinking in the bog. Now come back. Now there's a darling girl. You wouldn't let me go down to a dark, murky death, you that knows every path and everything. Well, that's not you. It can't be. The vocals have a hold on me. It's Terence Cruskeen. And who's that wee man beside you?
Oh, a little friend. One of the wee green men. Here we are, your nemesis or your saviors. And which would you want us to be?
Oh, Lord alive! Save me! I'm up to my waist already.
That's no problem. A little piece of paper. And since it's hard to read in the moonlight, I'll give you the gist, as they say. I, Malachi Malloy, hereby legally and completely accept the fact that all debts or claims against Thomas O'Shaughnessy are revoked and considered null and void.
This is blackmail.
So was what you did to my friend. And the bog is even blacker and you're sinking even deeper.
All right, I'll sign.
But there's a wee bit more.
What?
I also cancelled the marriage contract between myself and Sheila O'Shaughnessy, and in consequence of my breach of promise, I award her the sum of £2,000 to see her and her mother started off in a new country. In exchange, I would accept the farm, now mortgaged to me, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
For God's sake, stop talking. I'm up to my chest already. I'll sign anything.
But would you live up to it? Now, there's the real stuff. You wouldn't have any idea now of attacking young Brian again.
No.
Should we trust him, do you think, McGrush?
Sure. He's an Irishman after all. And get one in trouble enough, and you never have to worry. Goodbye. Happy future
Don't forget to send pictures of the wedding.
Oh, goodbye.
Sorry I have to leave. I have to get back for my job.
Oh, we're sorry, too, but we'll take care of Mother O'Shaughnessy till you're married and have a place to stay.
Well, Mary, all's well that ends well, but who'd have thought it?
You said they made a wonderful couple.
I'll never understand how Malachi suddenly got so generous.
I'll never understand why, but I can guess how.
What do you mean?
Take a look. We're going to have to get a new picture to hang over the fireplace.
Oh, now what's it doing turn to the wall again? What's he up to now?
It isn't turned to the wall.
Huh?
It's just a blank canvas.
What do you mean?
Have a look for yourself.
Holy mother, it's blank on both sides. Where's Uncle Terence?
I've a feeling he's off to America. He always did want to see the United States. Well, we can leave it up to Sheila and Brian to worry about him now.
You can believe it or not, but to the best of my knowledge, that's the way it happened. And if there was a lot of magic in it, there's just as much in love. The exact quote doesn't spring to mind for the moment, but the burden of it is that no matter what happens, love will find a way. I'll be back shortly.
That's the end of a mystery show. I hope nobody swoons. So long, folks, it's time to go. Thanks for staying tuned. We'll be back by and by with more of radio's best. A tale to terrify. I'll give you party and the rest. We guarantee our story will send chills right up your spine. Just make sure that you're the one who chills the Vina wine. But for now, turn on the lights and open up the line. Hope we didn't leave you in a fright or in a state of shock. We'll be back with more suspense to make your hair turn gray. Brought to you with compliments of the imported Vina Rosé.
Reported by Dubline, Hartford, Connecticut.
Brian and Sheila were married a month later in the States. Everyone who was there agreed they were as handsome a couple as you could ask for. But the real hit of the celebration was a shortish, ruddy-faced little gentleman with an Irish accent to go with his Irish face and his Irish wit. It was sad that he died so soon after the wedding, but it was hard to cry for him, remembering all the laughs he brought with him. Our cast included Paul Hecht, Virginia Payne, Jada Rowland, Leon Janney, and Ian Martin. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
Tammy, look out toward the ceiling. That is a blade, you see, a blade shaped like a big headsman's axe, and it's razor sharp.
Don't listen to him, Tammy. He's trying to frighten you.
Exactly what I'm trying to do, Tammy, for reasons that are quite obvious, I should think. Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Now, that large razor-sharp blade, Tammy, is attached to a pendulum that swings back and forth and gets an inch lower on each swing.
An inch lower on each swing?
Yes. And so anyone strapped to that slab on the floor, look down now, Tammy, to the floor. You see the slab with the straps?
Yes.
Anyone strapped to that slab will, in time, be cut in half.
Tammy, don't listen.
Slowly. Cut in half slowly, Tammy.
You wouldn't.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by imported Vina Rosé wine. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
This is WBBM Chicago News Radio 78, the time 11:24. It's 21 degrees at Midway.